Hi, and welcome back to my podcast. If this is your first time here, hello, my name's Elisa. I love to do all sorts of things knitting related and yarny fun stuff. I majorly spend my time knitting, and I have thought about picking up crochet and stuff. I do quite a lot of sewing in the summer, but pretty much I mostly spend my time knitting. So that is what today's podcast is going to be about, are my recent knitting adventures. So if you have been here, thank you so much for coming back. You already know how my podcast flow typically goes. I like to share anything that I've finished, and then whatever I'm working on, some things that I might have acquired in the last time since I've taken a video, and then also some things that are on my to-do list in a sense, or like aspirations. But yeah, so with that being said, I think I'll just jump right in again like normal. I did get quite a bit done this last week. Actually, I think it's been 2 weeks since I last recorded. So let's start with my sock. If you have watched my previous podcasts, you know that I had recently finished one, which is this one. This one I had finished, and I hadn't cast on my second one yet, but she is done. She's beautiful, and yeah, here she is. I absolutely love the way that these socks came out. A little bit about the yarn that I used. So I used Unique Fingering sock yarn, and it's a hand-dyed yarn, and it's also self-striping. It is 25% polyamide and 75% superwash merino, and this is all that I have left. I did split the ball of yarn, mostly because I wanted the stripes to match, because I think that would have actually bugged me a lot. I am a little bit disappointed though, because I think I would have rather had this like really pretty pink and blues and purples than the dark green and the dark blue, but I just started knitting from one end. I should have picked the other end. That is what I have then from that skein of yarn. I haven't decided what I'm gonna do with the leftovers yet. I thought about making like a yarn cozy, I think is what they're called. I watched Natalie's podcast from Nitty Natty, and I think she has really cute little like yarn cozies that she sticks her skeins of yarns in, and I think that would be like a great way for me to not have this like unraveling mess that I tend to get when you pull from the center. Like it gets super loose. You probably already know what I'm talking about. And I think having the yarn cozy to kind of hold it in place would help with that. So that's what I've thought about to use the leftovers of this with. But about the sock, so this is the one that I finished. And I do a really simple construction, like a super simple vanilla sock recipe. However, I did switch the pattern, and I just did my own small pattern, which you really can't tell. Let me see if I can get a little bit closer. So it's basically got like not variegations, a swirl pattern in a sense going around it, which is hard to tell because of the self-striping yarn. I don't know if you can even see that. I can't see. But that kind of gives it this like cool texture. It's very minimal, but it looks really nice. I like it. I don't know if I'll make like a pattern. If I do, I'm thinking about making a website where I can just put up some free patterns that I don't necessarily care to make super professionally, just something super easy for somebody else to replicate what I did. And if I do, if that's something you're interested, leave me a comment down below, and I can tell you what I did too. But it was pretty much just simple knits and purls, nothing really complicated at all. I made a very small 2x2 ribbing for the cuff, and then the heel flap here is just a regular slip stitch heel flap, a regular heel turn where I then pick up the stitches in the gusset and then continue knitting after making decreases. And then I used the Kitchener stitch to close up the sock here after making toe decreases. So overall, I really love how it came out. I was super hesitant at first with this like dark blue and green. I just wasn't loving the color, which is kind of like surprising because I usually like greens and blues, but I did not like these ones together. I love these colors down here by the toe and the foot. I think those are so pretty. Yeah, this has been a really fun project for me, honestly. I really did enjoy making this, and this second sock knit up, this one, sorry, I'm getting them confused, not that it matters. This one knit up so quickly. I cast it on and off within a week and it just flew. I was in love with it. Yeah, not much to say about those. I really should weigh and see how much I have. I've also thought about like doing some granny squares maybe of like a scrappy project at the end, but I also don't really want to just not use this yarn. It was pretty expensive. I think it was like $25 a skein, which I don't typically spend that type of money on yarn, so I would hate for this not to get used. I don't know if you have any good ideas for my scrap yarn. I could make a pair of shorties probably, maybe, but I'm not really sure. That is the first thing that I have done. The next thing that I have done, and those of you that have actually watched the podcast are probably gonna be proud of me because I'm proud of me, but I cast on and I finished the Cargil Cowl. Wow, I have been a bad podcaster lately. I did not show you guys me casting this on at all. I did not talk about it. I cast it on and I finished it. This, in my previous episode, the sweater that I made, somehow I completely neglected to tell you guys about. And then also casting on the sister sock and finishing that. I really should sneak in some more videos of me knitting while they're still projects and not finished objects. But this is the infamous Cargil Cowl by Rebecca Clow, and I knit it with Big Twist Spice. This I got way back. It's 100% acrylic. I got this in 2021 for their Black Friday deals. This is when I was like first starting out knitting, getting really excited with some things, and I wanted to go buy some yarn to make a cardigan, and I bought this yarn. I think I bought like 6 or 7 skeins. I might have bought 6. But I ended up having like pretty much a whole skein, and then I had a whole skein and then almost a whole skein. Like I did not use much of my other skein at all. So I made that with this, and I literally used like all of it. I don't have anything left of that skein, and the tail was like this long. So I was low-key playing yarn chicken. I did not knit the whole 20 centimeters, I think. No, 35 centimeters. This is supposed to be like a 35 centimeter length. I did not knit that. I knit, I think, 22 centimeters, and then I did 5 centimeters of ribbing, and that was it. That's all she could do. Because I didn't really want to go into this, because I will talk about in the aspirations part of the podcast why. But I love how she came out. I think it's pretty cozy. I have no idea if I look like ridiculous or not because I can't see my camera. But yeah, it's a very pretty pattern. However, like, I was done with it. I am not a dip stitch person, and that is totally fine. I am glad I did it and tried it, but man, is this a fiddly stitch. I was not a huge fan of it. I remember getting through most of this and then actually kind of glad that I was running out of yarn because it gave me an excuse to cast it off. So I just did not really enjoy this. I could not knit the Cargil sweater. So those of you that have, I have like massive respect for. Like, wow, I could not do that. Yeah. But I will say it is kind of addictive though, because you'll get to the really hard part in the pattern, at least for me, where you do the dip stitch, and then the rest of it is so satisfying to finish. So I found myself a lot of the times like knitting to the next row where you would do the pattern repeat, and it would start with the dip stitch, and I would find myself like, oh, just do this one, and then the next time that you pick it up, it'll be so nice and simple and easy to start knitting again on it. And then I would like knit the harder round, and then I'd be like, oh, but I'm already right here, so let me just finish these next 3 rounds because they're so nice and easy and I enjoy knitting them. And that's how I was able to get this going so quickly. But again, I don't think I can knit an entire sweater worth of this stitch. But it is really pretty, and it keeps me pretty warm, so I'm glad I knit it before the winter was completely gone, so I can at least enjoy it. And I like it. It's my first cowl I've ever made, so I will see if this keeps me in like the cowl fever. I did also knit this with the Color Me Happy knit along that Casey from Young Foots Knits is hosting. She's also hosting it with another podcaster, which I will put right here because I cannot remember. I was super happy because I actually cast this on and off during the knit along, which I have not done before. I sort of tried with her previous Baby G sweater, I think is what it was. And I knit the Ingrid sweater, and I think I cast on my Lupin sweater in that amount of time of the knit along, but I didn't like post anything on Instagram or anything like that. Also, as a side note, I did start an Instagram with all of my knits and things that I'm working on, so if you are interested, I will have the link in the description, and you can follow me over there, where I'm hoping to be pretty active and give you guys updates and maybe ask questions and just kind of join that end of the knitting community. I was not very big on Instagram at all before, so I will see how that goes. But that is the Cargil Cowl by Rebecca Clow. That is all that I have for finished objects at the time, and I actually only have 2 whips. One is I'll just share the first one. The other one I will talk about, but I'm not really going to share. So if you watched my previous podcast, you saw that I had started another pair of socks that I'm knitting 2 at a time. And you might also have the same thought that I had of, wow, those are some pretty wide socks. So these are the Cute Heart Socks pattern, and it is a toe-up sock, which I did not realize when I started it, or like when I decided I was going to knit that pattern. It wasn't until I actually sat down to cast it on that I realized it was a toe-up sock. But I was like, hey, that's fine. I want to try 2 socks at a time. Might as well throw in something else too. So I did the Judy's Magic cast on, I believe, to cast these on. And these are knit in this here, Hobby's Rainbow 4-ply sock wool, and it is 100%, just kidding, it's not 100%, why do I always think things are 100%, it's 75% wool, 25% polyamide, and I'm using this for all of the colors in the sock, this sock base, and I'm using the color, I want to say this one is Sand, but this one, it just says color 3. And then this one I think was Boradox. I don't know how to say that. I'm sorry. This is color 34. And then also the gray is color 11. And I want to say this was just regular gray, dark gray. I can't remember. But that is the yarn that I'm using. And I originally was going to knit the size 1 because that's... Why was I going to knit the size 1? I don't remember. I was going to knit the size 1 and then... Oh, because that's what the recommended pattern said to do, to have 2 inches of negative ease. But then when I cast the stitches on, I was like, that seems really small. So I was like, I'm gonna jump up to size 3, which is the actual circumference of my foot, so there wouldn't be any negative E's. But then when I was knitting that, I was like, that is really wide. And instead of going back and like frogging that part, I decided to just make 2 decreases. So now my foot's gonna look really weird and wonky, but it's fine. And now I'm knitting size 2. And I really hope that that's fine, because I also was kind of nervous because the last time I did colorwork socks, I couldn't get it over my foot or my ankle. So I think it's gonna be a work in progress. I will see how those go, but this is so far what I have done, and I am not sure what I'm gonna do for the heel construction yet. I might follow the pattern, but at the same time I kind of want to make a contrasting heel with the same color of the heart. So I don't know. I'll have to see. I'll have to like try something new, which I love doing. I love just like throwing myself out there and being like, okay, you know what? We are just gonna see if this works and how it goes, and if it's not super great, well, at least we learn for the next time. Which is kind of how I'm treating this, and that's also why I haven't like gone back and fixed it. I'm sure it will bug me, I know it will. But at the same time, I don't care because it's just gonna be on my feet. Nobody's gonna see it. So, yeah, this is about as far as I have gone. So I knit the Craggy Shore Sock with this yarn. I knit it actually in this color, the sand color, and this is all that I had left of it, so I'm not worried about running out or anything. But I did realize that the yarn is not that soft at all. I think it's very scratchy. It feels like a very woolly yarn, which I mean makes sense. This is not super washable. This is just 100%, not 100% wool, but like just wool on its own. So I am fully expecting these to not be super nice. And I did wash and block the other sock. However, I think if I like continue getting used to wearing it, and then maybe also wash and block it with the actual wool wash, that might make a difference. Because I didn't have wool wash before, so it didn't get like the lanolin, I think is what it is, that helps soften the wool. Which I am keeping it in this cute little handmade, hand-sewn bag. Yeah, I got the zipper at the thrift store. I was gifted this beautiful fabric from my mother-in-law, and then I had bought the lining fabric, which is just this simple like black cotton lining. Yeah, it's a nice little bag. It fits in there pretty well, and it helps keep all of the yarns together because it will be color work and 2 at a time, so there's gonna be just a lot of yarn. That is that project, the Cute Heart Socks project. And I'm hoping that like it'll soften up. The yarn on its own is not super soft, but it's okay. The other whip that I have is a long blanket that I'm working on, which I'm only like a triangle that's like this big maybe into it, if that even made sense of like a triangle size. It's not very far in, but I am having second thoughts because right now it's just a garter stitch blanket with a fake I-cord edging where you really just knit 2 ends. So like the edges is just all in a stockinette stitch. Instead of doing straight garter stitch on the edges, you just do stockinette stitch. And I'm just realizing that's going to be such a tedious, long thing to make, and I'm kind of thinking maybe I should go more the like granny square route or some sort of striped route rather than this diagonal line thing that I'm making. I don't know, that, or I'm just not a blanket person and I'm fine with that if I don't knit blankets. But I'm realizing I'm not really finding a ton of joy. It's a very mindless knit, but at the same time I have socks for that which you get to see and use very quickly from making the socks, whereas the blanket, like, I think it would legit take me over a year to finish, and that kind of like makes me anxious. Not like anxious, but I just don't like that. I'm not as motivated in a sense to work on it because I know it's going to take me ages to finish. But that's kind of where I'm at with that project. So I have been thinking about possibly frogging it and then maybe doing something else. Like again, the granny squares blanket sounds really fun and cute because that's like super in and trendy. And I also do want to pull out my crochet hook just a little bit and see if I have that crochet bug again that I originally had when I started. But I'm not sure. That's all that I have for whips, but this is basically going to be a whip and I need y'all's opinion. So I have made up a swatch. This is a very large swatch because I have some different like design elements that I want to try. But I want to attempt to design and make my own cardigan. And this is the inspiration. Before I say anything, this is a very busy, fun yarn. I know that. And I know that the stitch pattern that I have 2 different samples. Well, I have like 3 different samples on here. The stitch pattern that I'm using that I think would best suit this yarn is just the stockinette, and I do plan on actually knitting it with this yarn. But if I were to actually go and proceed to like publish the pattern and make it available to others, I would choose a more neutral, solid colored yarn because I think that would be able to bring out the actual stitch definition and stitch pattern more than this yarn does. So with that being said, this is more so just for fun for me. I liked the yarn, it was on sale, and I had a gift card, so I went and bought some up. And I do really love the way that this yarn is. It's got its own little fade thing, so that's kind of cool. Anyway, so I will probably knit the stockinette stitch with this yarn. I did want to see what the garter would look like because again, this is a cardigan, which means you're knitting it flat, and that's a lot of stuff to purl. So I kind of wanted to see what it would look like with just the garter stitch. And it's not bad, but I think it would come out a lot easier if instead of doing this mock cable, if instead you were to do slip stitches. And I think that would make a big difference at one, seeing the definition above the garter stitch, but also using a solid color because I think the garter stitch just kind of gets, like you lose a sense of the yarn and you also lose a sense of the stitch with at least this pattern. And then my biggest question is if I should do the baubles or not. I think they're so fun. I don't know if I could do the whole cardigan in baubles and like actually like it and like that'd be almost too much. I have thought about doing just a single long vertical line, like just one row of these rhombuses or diamonds down the sleeve and that having baubles. And I really do like that idea, but at the same time, I don't know, maybe I do need to go like all out and like I could really think about this. But yeah, let me know your guys' thoughts if I should do the baubles, ditch the baubles, or if is this too simple just having this pattern down here? I don't know. But yeah, that's my dilemma. So hopefully I will at least have this started. And again, it's kind of just like a throwing myself out there, no expectations sort of thing, but I really want to see if I can't come up with a pattern design and actually publish a pattern. I think that would be so cool as like my own little way to give back to this amazing community of wonderful knitters who continue to inspire me. I would love to give back in some way. That is where I'm at with this. Oh, also peep the yarn tip that I learned from Taylor from Wool Needles Hands gave, where you use a bread clip to tie up your long ends, because I always overestimate my tails when I'm doing my cast-ons and I don't like to necessarily go and cut it. I don't know why. I have this weird thing with like not wanting to cut my yarn ever. It's actually not cool. Like when I was making my Ingrid sweater and I had to cut the yarn so many times, anxiety. But yeah, so I used her little trick and used a little bread clip and it has been wonderful. that is what I have on my like aspirations list. The next thing on I wonder if I should have gone back. Either way, going back to the yarn that I used for the Cargil Cowl, I think I'm gonna knit a pair of Cargil mittens, but like, she obviously doesn't have a Cargil pattern for mittens, but I think I could finesse it to just have the back of the mitten be the dip stitch, and then I have a little set, and I think that is just so freaking cute, which is why I really, really want to knit a pair of mittens in this stitch. I know I literally just said I don't like this stitch, but I really want to have a set of matching mittens. So I told myself, just knit the mittens and then you never have to knit this stitch again if you don't want. But I'm excited to do that, and I'm just going to be knitting it with this skein of yarn. I should be able to get a pair of mittens out of this. If I can't, then they're going to be short mittens. Maybe. I don't know. Which I still haven't found the cardigan that I knit this with, and that was a while ago. So I've just officially accepted that it's probably lost. Albeit, I think it could also be my backpack, which for some reason I haven't fully checked. But I feel like at the same time I did check it. I don't know. I'll circle back to that at some point. That is all that I have for like aspirations. I do have one acquisition, which I was not expecting to. This is a beautiful skein of hand-dyed sock yarn. It is 75% superwash merino wool and 25% polyamide, and it's in this like really pretty purple. I want to say it's a purple blue. It's definitely a darker purple, but it kind of leads towards the blue shade aspect. And I got this surprisingly at Joann's, which is just insane to me because they usually don't sell this type of yarn, at least what I would consider quality yarn. They just don't really sell a ton of stuff like that. They usually sell more acrylic bases, Lion brand, etc. So when I saw this, I kind of was like, oh my gosh, I have to get it. So I got this. I think I got it on sale too. I got it today, literally, and it was, I want to say like $9, but typically it's like $12.99. But it is knit and crochet, premium yarn, and it is hand dyed. It is 450 meters for 100 grams, which is pretty typical of sock yarn. And I seriously love this. It is so, so pretty. Look at this pattern here. And oh my gosh, it's gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. I cannot wait to knit it up. And I'm probably going to knit socks with it because socks, I have actually really enjoyed knitting socks and having socks on the needles. But at the same time, I could see myself really branching out and maybe doing a shawl. But maybe I should go back and pick up another skein in case I do decide to do a shawl. But at the same time, I don't think I'd wear a shawl in this color. So I'm probably just going to knit socks. And I'm fine with that. But it is so pretty. And I was so happy when I bought it. Yeah, that is all the acquisition stuff that I have then. I think that's also like all that I really have to share today. There's a lot of stuff going on in my head right now, especially with this possible project happening. Again, let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. If I should ditch the baubles, keep the baubles, just do the one line of baubles like I was thinking. And yeah, let me know. Also, do you think that a garter stitch cardigan would be cool in this like kind of pattern here? Because I know for a lot of people, cardigans in general are very scary because of the amount of purls. Like, I even get intimidated by the amount of purling you have to do. So maybe a garter stitch cardigan would help people get over that fear. I know it would for me. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I'm going to talk about this yarn really quick again. This is so pretty because it feels like you're knitting with paint. Like, not actually feels like, but like when you have the colors on the needles and are making stitches, each one is so different and it just looks like a beautiful swirl of like paint together. It's so pretty. I love it. I love how fun and colorful this yarn is. Anyway, that's all that I have for you today. I'm gonna stop rambling to myself and rabbit trailing. But I hope you enjoyed this podcast. I hope that you can leave me a comment down below of what you would think would look best with this pattern, if this is something that maybe I am head over myself with. But I think it'd be worth a shot to see what I can't come up with. And I have nothing else to say. Again, happy knitting, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you are enjoying whatever craft that you are currently working on and also enjoying the nice, somewhat spring weather we are starting to get here. And I will see you on the next one. Bye!